Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're getting into some really big moral questions, ones that sit right at the heart of our relationship with the planet. We're talking about a field of philosophy that forces us to ask a pretty fundamental question. When it comes to the environment, who, or maybe what, truly counts? So to really get our heads around this, let's start with a pretty powerful thought experiment. Back in 1973, a philosopher named Richard Sylvan, he was actually known as Richard Routley at the time, he came up with this scenario. I want you to just imagine for a second. You are the very last person on Earth. You know you're about to die. And before you do, you decide to just destroy everything. Every single living thing. Every animal, every plant. Okay, so the big question is, did the last man do anything wrong? I mean, think about it. If there are no other people around to be harmed, can it even be a moral crime? Our usual ethics, which are mostly about how we treat other people, kinda struggle here. And it's that exact puzzle, that dilemma, that really kickstarted a whole new way of thinking. And that's where a whole new field was born, environmental ethics. It's basically a branch of philosophy that says, hey, maybe ethics isn't just about how humans treat other humans. It's about figuring out our moral relationship with the entire natural world. You know, the animals, the forests, the oceans, all of it. Now, people have been thinking about our place in nature for, well, forever. But this modern field of environmental ethics, it really exploded in the mid-1900s. And what was the trigger? Well, people were starting to get seriously worried about our impact on the planet. You had these groundbreaking moments like Aldo Leopold talking about a land ethic, or Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring, which just blew the lid off the dangers of pesticides. And then, bam, 1970, we get the very first Earth Day, and suddenly this is a global conversation. Okay, so to really get what's so revolutionary about this new way of thinking, we kind of have to understand the default setting, right? The old school view. And for a long, long time, especially in Western thought, that view has been completely and totally human-centered. The fancy word for this is anthropocentrism. It's pretty straightforward. Anthropos means human, katron means center. Human-centered. It's the idea that we, humans, are the most important things on the planet. Period. Everything else, its value is based on how useful it is to us. A forest is valuable because we can get wood from it. A river is valuable because we need the water. It's all about what it can do for us. And this isn't some obscure idea. It's baked into so many of our cultures and traditions. You can trace it back through a lot of philosophy and religion. Take the biblical concept of dominion, for instance. For centuries, that's often been interpreted as, well, humanity getting the green light to rule over nature and use it however we see fit. Okay, but what if we push back on that? What if we start to question the idea that it's all about us? Well, that's when a totally different perspective starts to take shape. It's one that asks us to draw our circle of who or what matters a whole lot wider. This next step is called biocentrism. Bio for life. This view says that all living things have value in and of themselves. We're talking everything, from a tiny little microbe to a massive blue whale. They have what's called intrinsic value. That just means they have a right to exist for their own sake, not because of what they can do for us. Their value isn't something we grant them, it's just there. So this whole outlook is really built on four big ideas that totally flip the script on our place in the world. First, it says humans are just one member of Earth's community, alongside all other species. Second, it recognizes that we're all tangled up in this huge system of interdependence. Third, every single living thing is pursuing its own good, its own way of flourishing. And here's the big one. Number 4, humans are not inherently superior to any other living thing. Thinkers like Albert Schweitzer really summed this up beautifully with his idea of reverence for life. It's such a simple but really powerful moral guide. At its core, goodness is about cherishing and protecting life. And evil? It's about destroying and damaging it. All right, we've expanded our circle from just humans to all individual living things. But there's one more step, and honestly, it's the biggest leap yet. This view asks us to stop focusing on the individual parts, whether it's a person or a plant, and instead to value the entire system. And this is called ecocentrism. Eco as in ecosystem. Here, the moral spotlight widens to include not just the living things, but the whole ecological community. That means the non-living parts too, the rivers, the mountains, the soil. Values found in the health and integrity of that entire web of relationships. It's the whole shebang that counts. Remember Aldo Leopold from earlier? His land ethic is basically the Bible for this viewpoint. For an ecocentrist, the moral compass is pretty clear. He said it best. A thing is right when it helps preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the whole community. And it's wrong when it does the opposite. Simple as that. So let's just recap, because this is the key takeaway. It's all about an expanding circle of who or what we care about. We start with anthropocentrism, the smallest circle, where it's just us humans. Then we widen it to biocentrism, which includes all individual living things. And finally, we get to ecocentrism, the biggest circle of all, which values the entire ecosystem, the living and the non-living, all of it. Okay, so you might be thinking, this is all interesting philosophy, but so what? Well, these are not just abstract ideas for a classroom. They have massive, real-world implications for how we tackle our biggest environmental challenges, right here, right now. Yeah, let's take the biggest one of all, the climate crisis. The way we even define the problem, let alone the solutions we come up with, depends completely on which of these ethical hats we're wearing. I mean, what are we actually trying to save here? Are we trying to save human society, or are we trying to save the entire planet's ability to support life? So if you're coming from that human-centered, anthropocentric view, the problem is that climate change threatens our health, our money, our cities. So the solutions are all about protecting us. Things like new tech, carbon taxes, and policies to protect human communities. But if you're looking through that ecocentric lens, the problem is much bigger. It's that we're messing with the fundamental stability of the entire planet. And so the solutions have to be much deeper, focused on restoring that balance, even if that means making some pretty major shifts in how we live. And here's why this is so important. The ethical framework we choose, whether we realize it or not, is what dictates the future we're actually building. It's what sets our priorities. It's what guides our choices. It's what decides what we're willing to do and what we're willing to sacrifice. Which brings us right back to that fundamental question. So what's in your circle of concern? Is it human-centered, life-centered, earth-centered? Because how we answer that doesn't just define our relationship with the world around us. It defines the kind of world we're going to leave behind.